what were the one or two, in your mind, most important games you coached ever in your career?
Well, at what university? They're all different. At Texas, the most important was, and when we beat Texas in Austin, 37-12.
Yeah.
Because up until that time, Texas owned Texas A&M. But the real deal for A&M in Houston in 82, where I'm in a car with Earl Vonnegut, which great guy, and we're driving down I-10 in Houston.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about bowl games, and I said, Earl, there's a lot of bowl games. They just opened up the Hawaii Bowl, and it's nice. Yeah. He slams on his brakes in the middle of I-10. He looked at me and he says, Jackie, there's only one bowl we want to go to. You get us to the Cotton Bowl, we'll chip in the palm trees, the sand, in the water. So that told me how important, because Texas had dominated for all these years in the Cotton Bowl. In reality, there were 4 major bowls: the rose, the cotton, the sugar, and the orange. And getting to the Cotton Bowl meant that you were the champions.
Yeah.
And that game, going in 85 and going to the 86 Cotton Bowl, was the game for Texas A&M.
Yeah. And I think any Aggie over the age of 45 or so will remember that game. I was at that game. Matter of fact, my dad used to tell me, Coach, because I used to go to Austin and we didn't win there very often. Man, it was miserable walking. Poor Aggies, that was miserable. And I asked my dad, I said, man, I'm not sure I want to do that anymore. He goes, the only reason I continue to go to those games in Austin is because when we win, it's so satisfying walking out.
Well, when you say that, poor Aggies, in 1983, 82, we play in Austin. 82, we're playing in on Kyle Field. We jump out ahead, and bright light. I said, okay, we'll wear all maroon.
Yeah.
That's the last time we wore all maroon. But anyway, at the end of the game, they're chanting "Poor Aggies." And I asked Billy Pickard, I said, Billy, what are they saying?
Yeah.
And he's saying, they're saying, "Poor Aggies." And I looked at him. I said, Billy, that's the last time they'll say that.
Yes, sir. Yes,
for
sir.
7 years in a row. Now, and the 8th time, we played Texas when I was at Mississippi State in the Cotton Bowl.
Sure.
And I get a letter from a minister. And I knew he was a minister because it had Reverend on the top of the letterhead. And anyway, he was asking my forgiveness because he was a Texas ex. He was in the stands. And at the end of the game, they started chanting "Poor Jackie." And he said, I got tied up in it, and I apologize and please forgive me. I wrote him back and I said, that's one of the nicest things that Texas ever said.
That's a great story, Coach. There's another, you brought up Mississippi State. There's another story that you're famous for about the bull castration. And I think, like you're saying, the media has a lot of power. I think this has been spun in such a way that people literally think you went and grabbed a bull and rode him over to the football field and physically castrated him yourself. That's not exactly what happened.
That's not the story, but I carry a knife. And when somebody brings that up, I open the knife and I say, it only takes 3 seconds. You want me to show you?
I'm glad we're doing this by Zoom, by the way.
It's most stories get thrown out, and my mistake was not taking our team to South Farms. We're in the meeting, squad meeting. I said, anybody know what is steer? We're playing Texas 19, and that was 92 in Austin. and no one raised their hand. And we only had one, Jimmy Hams, which played at Texas. He knew what it was, assistant coach. So we're on the way to practice, and one of the managers comes running up to me, and he said, "Coach, my dad's in the cattle business there in North Mississippi." And he said, "We castrate 25 to 30 bulls a day.
Yeah, sure.
You want me to bring one down?" And I just said, "Yeah," just off the cuff. So make a long story short, the vet came with him. The vet gave him a shot of penicillin. And unfortunately, there was a track girl running across the field. And what she saw wasn't real, what she thought she saw. But anyway, her mother worked at the vet school. So all of a sudden it started spreading,
Yeah.
and it spread like wildfire. And like you said, it was me. I held the knife between my teeth, threw him on the ground, and castrated. That was the story. Lampley called me, Jim Lampley, and I said, "Jim, you know what a steer is?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, you do now." So I mean, it wasn't anywhere near. It got pretty wild. Now the feds did come out of DC and came in my office on a Monday and
What?
stayed for a week, and then on Friday came back and said, "See you," and laughed a little bit and took off.
Man, what a story. Well, Coach,